Nelson Mandela, known worldwide as a symbol of freedom and justice, was born on July 18, 1918, in the small village of Mvezo in the eastern Cape of South Africa. He was born into the Thembu royal family, and his father was a local chief. Mandela's early life was simple and traditional. He grew up herding cattle, listening to stories of his ancestors, and learning the values of leadership and respect for his people. His father died when he was young, and he was later raised by a regent who made sure Mandela received a good education. At a time when many Black South Africans were denied opportunities, Mandela was fortunate to attend school, where a teacher gave him the English name Nelson. Mandela's education opened his eyes to the world. He went on to study at the University of Fort Hare and later the University of Witwatersrand, where he studied law. It was here that Mandela began to see the deep injustices of apartheid more clearly. Apartheid was a system created by the white minority government to keep Black South Africans oppressed and without rights. Black people could not vote, own land in many areas, or even walk freely in white-only zones. Mandela decided he could not stand by while his people suffered. He joined the African National Congress, ANC, an organization fighting for the freedom and equality of South Africans. In the 1940s, Mandela, together with leaders like Oliver Tambo and Walter Sisulu, helped form the ANC Youth League. He wanted the youth to play an active role in fighting for justice. During this time, he also trained as a lawyer and opened the first Black law firm in Johannesburg with his friend Oliver Tambo, providing legal help to poor Black South Africans who could not afford lawyers. Mandela quickly became a leading voice in the fight against apartheid. By the 1950s, apartheid laws became stricter and harsher. Black people were forced to carry identification passes, and anyone without one could be arrested. Families were separated, communities destroyed, and millions lived in poverty. Mandela organized protests, boycotts, and acts of civil disobedience against the government. In 1956, Mandela and 155 others were arrested and charged with treason, but after a long trial, they were eventually acquitted. This did not stop Mandela. As the government grew more violent, Mandela and the ANC realized peaceful protests alone were not enough. In 1961, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, the armed wing of the ANC, which carried out sabotage against government targets. He went underground, secretly traveling around the country and even leaving South Africa gained support from other African nations. However, in 1962, Mandela was captured, arrested, and later sentenced to life in prison during the Rivonia trial. His words from the trial became famous. "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mandela was sent to Robben Island Prison, where he would spend 18 of his 27 years behind bars. Life in prison was extremely harsh. He was forced to do hard labor in a limestone quarry, was only allowed a small cell with little comfort, and was denied visitors and letters for long periods. But Mandela remained strong. He educated fellow prisoners, wrote secretly, and continued to inspire people both inside and outside prison. His courage made him a symbol of resistance worldwide. Countries around the globe called for his release, and Free Nelson Mandela became a rallying cry. Finally, after years of struggle and international pressure, Nelson Mandela was released on February 11, 1990. The world watched as he walked out of Victor Verster prison, hand in hand with his wife, Winnie Mandela. His release marked the beginning of a new chapter for South Africa. Mandela immediately began negotiations with the government to end apartheid. Despite all he had suffered, he called for peace, forgiveness, and reconciliation instead of revenge. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections, where all races could vote. Millions of South Africans stood in long lines, some for the very first time, to cast their ballots. Nelson Mandela was elected as the country's first Black president. His leadership brought hope and unity to a divided nation. Mandela focused on building peace, improving education, reducing poverty, and healing the wounds of decades of racism. He also worked with former enemies, showing the world the power of forgiveness. Mandela's presidency lasted from 1994 to 1999, but his influence reached far beyond politics. He became a global ambassador for peace, traveling to different countries, supporting humanitarian causes, and encouraging young leaders. In 1993, he had already been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize alongside F.W. de Klerk, the last apartheid president, for their efforts to bring democracy to South Africa. Even after stepping down as president, Mandela remained active in charitable work through the Nelson Mandela Foundation. He fought against poverty, HIV/AIDS, and promoted education for children. His famous words, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," continue to inspire millions. Nelson Mandela passed away on December 5th, 2013, at the age of 95. The world mourned the loss of a true hero. Leaders, celebrities, and ordinary people paid tribute to him. His legacy lives on as a reminder of the courage, forgiveness, and the fight for freedom. Today, Mandela is remembered as Madiba, his clan name, a term of respect and love. His life teaches us that no matter how hard the struggle, with determination, sacrifice, and hope, change is always possible. Nelson Mandela's story is not just the story of South Africa. It is the story of humanity's fight for justice, dignity, and equality.